Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and as you can tell by the name of the video, I completely flattened my island. And this is actually the very first island that I built, which was my Japanese city-style island. And if you've been to any of the streams recently, you know that I've been in the process of flattening for about a couple weeks now. It took quite a few sessions to get it all flat. I'd heard of other people flattening their islands and it taking them about like 8 hours to do it. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but at the same time, actually going for it and doing it was kind of a tedious process. I'm sure you can understand why. Taking down all of your items, breaking down all of your inclines and your bridges, and then going ahead and just flattening all your cliffs. It takes a ton of time to do that, but at least I had the stream chat to keep me a little bit of company while I was going through that process. But if you're new to the channel, or if you haven't made it to a stream before, I just want to say that I would love to have you come through one of the streams. It's pretty chill for the most part, sometimes a little chaotic, but for my new island theme, I'm going to be doing a whole lot of building on stream for that. So if you want to see live progress of that happening, make sure to check out one of the streams. Currently, I stream every Monday on YouTube at about 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then I stream over on Twitch Wednesdays around 5:30 or 6 p.m. Eastern time, and then Saturdays as well, usually around 1 p.m. Eastern time. And throughout the process of flattening the island, a lot of people have been asking a couple questions, and so I just wanted to go ahead and make a video explaining kind of my thought process of why I did flatten and then what I'm going to do next for my island. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Right here, as you can see, I still have some of the street codes down and everything is just gone now. I used to have rows of bamboo to line these streets. Throughout here, I had like another street that went up here to resident services, and I really actually wanted to make a winter dream address, and that's why I ended up getting these road codes, which are like snowy and wintry, but it just wasn't working out for me the way that I wanted to. There was just something about winter in the game that just wasn't clicking for me. And as some of you know, I've been working on my second island a lot over the past couple months. I think in July is when I started working on my Ghost of Tsushima inspired small town Japanese style island. And now that that's sort of finished for now, I wanted to come back to my city island and really build out some new ideas that I had, but here in the wintertime, it just was not working out for me. I had vision in my head of what I wanted to look like, and when I actually did it, it just didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to. What's hilarious is you can still see I still need to break down some inclines here. There's a couple of random stuff just throughout the island, a couple of random pathing along different areas. So I'll probably need to do like one more session of flattening, but for the most part, it's crazy to see how much space is really on the island now that things aren't as dense. And now I just feel like I'm not going to be limited by the amount of space that just like certain areas have left. And instead I can focus on a couple big builds first. When I came back to working on this island, I knew I wanted to build out some like huge buildings, but I only had such limited space left with all of the houses where I put them, with all of the streets of where I'd put them. And if you're new here and if you didn't see what my island looked like before I demolished everything, I have a whole playlist with island updates if you want to check that out. And my dream address is still up and running, so if you want to go ahead and check out the island for yourself, you can. And you'll find that dream code in the description below. And throughout my entire process of flattening out my island, a huge question that I got was, why not just go ahead and restart the entire game? Why go through the process of flattening my island? And I feel like that's a very fair question. A lot of people, I think, would have just restarted. It would have been a lot easier. Sure, you would have had to go through the whole 3-star process to go ahead and get terraforming, but I think it could have been fun, definitely. But there are a couple key reasons about why I chose to flatten instead of just go ahead and hard restart. One of those is where my resident services is placed. As you can see, my airport is right here, and I feel like my resident services is a good amount of distance away from there, and I really like that. I don't want it to be up close and right next to the airport. I know a lot of people who their first island, they've sunk in a ton of hours into it, and now they're a little bit upset because they've put in all of these hours into the game, but their resident services is just a couple squares in front of their airport, and they wanted to make like a big grand entrance and they can't. So I personally love the spacing of where my resident services is in comparison to where my airport is. The second thing for me is that I just didn't want to have to go through the entire catalog again. I think a lot of us know how many different colored items there are for just different things and how many different variations of certain things were in. I just didn't want to go ahead and have to redo that entire catalog process. I know there are things like catalog islands that exist, and a couple of my friends have their own catalog islands that I could just go to, but even that's a couple hour process of just going ahead and going through it to be able to get all these different things. And then you have to go ahead and get all your DIYs again, all the bamboo stuff, all the cherry blossom stuff, etc. I didn't want to have to go through that headache all over again. And the last thing, which is probably the most important to me, me are my villagers and the villager houses that I have. I love my villagers. There's only a couple of them who I think maybe I'll move out every now and then, but something that I really love about my island is that I do have some glitched exteriors. I know because it was just Christmas that there's probably a lot of people who just got the game or don't really even know about this glitch at all, but there actually used to be a house exterior glitch where if you used amiibo cards and using the campsite, you could actually move in villagers into a different villager's house and have their exterior, but a different villager would live in here. So for example, this is actually Rowan's house here, but using this process, now it's Rolf's house. And I really love this exterior and I really love Rolf, but I didn't love Rowan, so I moved Rolf into this exterior. Same thing goes over here. I actually have Sally living in this house, and this house actually belongs to Gladys. And then Marshall lives over in this white house here, but this white house actually belongs to Blanche. And something that's really unfortunate to me is that this was patched out, I think in like June or July, because this was one of my favorite glitches by far. And even if I move their houses to different part of the island, it's still gonna say this exterior, but if I move them off the island, I won't be able to get this house again. And because it was patched, I won't be able to move villagers into houses that I want them to that kind of fit my themes, you know? So I would go ahead and say that this is probably the biggest reason why I chose to flatten instead of just doing a hard restart. And I won't lie, tearing down some of the builds that I had done, specifically like my city skyline, my basketball court even, and some of the yards that I'd built out for some of my villagers, I'm really gonna miss those builds. But I feel like if anything, I can just go ahead and remake some of those areas again if I want to. Because the biggest thing for me about my island was that although I really do love it, this is my first Animal Crossing game, this was the first island I built out, and I really love the city aspect of my island, I just felt like my island looked like what I say is a June island or an early game island, meaning that I pretty much finished the bulk of building out this island probably back in around June or July, and I just felt like it really still looked that way. I feel like the way people build now that I see on Instagram, Twitter, etc., people are just doing way crazier stuff when it comes to builds, using items in new ways that I hadn't thought of before. And there's always new road codes and simple panel codes, etc. And I just wanted to have a blank canvas to go ahead and try some of those things on for myself. And I've been doing a lot of DA tour videos on this channel recently, and they're definitely islands that are Japanese style themes, which is kind of what my original island was supposed to be, this Japanese city. But I've been touring islands that are more anime inspired, stuff like that. And that's kind of where I want to go for this island. So when it comes to my new theme, I kind of want it to be a modern city meets a slice of life anime sort of thing. And so even though I miss my city island, I'm so excited to try out and building a brand new city island. So my island name is Art Department. I just felt like this was 1.0, my small town was 2.0, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and create Art Department 3.0, which will just be this updated, more modern city. And I've been mentioning those DAs that I toured recently on my channel, but there's also a ton of Instagram creators that I really love. I've been seeing some of their builds that have really inspired me to update and do a more modern city style island. I also want to use levels and perspective a little bit more on this island compared to how I had it. I just felt like most of my island was on the first level, and I used mostly the natural cliffs and the natural rivers that were already on my island and just kind of worked around that, because back in the early game I just didn't know then what I know now in terms of what all you can really accomplish with terraforming, how to make waterfalls look good or how to make different levels work on your island, even with the limited inclines and the limited bridges that we have. So I'm just so excited to go ahead and get started on this new city island build, and I really also want to make my own road codes soon too. So many of my other favorite content creators, they're designing a lot of the roads themselves, and I want to give that a shot for myself too and really challenge myself to design my own roads, and that way all of you can use them as well if they fit your theme or if you like them. And that about wraps it up in terms of why I chose to flatten instead of going ahead and restarting. I'm so excited to go ahead and give a new island a shot in 2021. It feels like new year, new island, and I really can't wait to go ahead and just start building this out. And again, I'll be doing a lot of this on stream, so I'd love to have you there. Mondays on YouTube, Wednesdays and Saturdays over on Twitch, and you can find the links to my Twitch in the description below. Thanks for watching. Glad to have you here. It's probably going to be a while before I have another island update video while I'm building all of this out, so for the next few videos there'll probably be DA tours and other stuff like that. So please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. already, it would go a long way in helping out the growth of this channel. There's been so many new subscribers to this channel recently, and honestly, I'm so excited to go ahead and just start pumping out more content for you all. So that about does it, and as always, I just want to give a huge shout out to my channel members. It's because of you all that I can continue to make content like this on my channel. If you want to support and become a member, just hit that join button below. There's also a link in the description if you don't see it. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.